It's always good to have oil in your bike when you start it. So see, now we have almost no oil in it. We might as well put some new oil in here. That's enough. We don't have to put all the new oil on top of the old oil. The fuel tank's back here. Sounds a little dry.
Mm-hmm. What do you prop this thing up on the old swing arm stand here?
Alright, let's get the tail off.
Grab the wheel, pick it up.
There you go. So you can see what's under the tail. There's the dragster ignition. I'll fire it. Okay, this has to go like this underneath the old fuel tank.
All the way. Yeah, it's all the way.
Oh, the bike's not straight up and down, but you're sticking the back of the frame over here.
Oh, you see. Here. And stand it up?
No.
All right.
There we go. Now it's in the correct spot.
Well, it's close.
Oh, you got plenty of room over there. So take a video of all the junk around the bike over here. You can see how we run all the different systems. There's a bunch of them. We got more light. Look at that. So we got a little fuel tank. Got a little fuel pump about that long. There's your ignition box out of your dragster. So this runs up into our bypass valve that dumps all the fuel pressure to everything. So we got two fuel lines feeding over to nitrous systems under here. We got two nitrous systems, one here, one here. Then we got a big line here. This is a -8 line, goes into this regulator, and we got two fuel lines feeding the carburetor. We have another nitrous solenoid buried back under there. You can't even see. So that's your third stage of nitrous. And then we got a big return valve here, runs it back to our tank. And then the carburetor, when it overflows, comes out of this big hose here and it dumps back in the tank. So you can't flood the motor out because of the fuel carburetor. Then we got our big coil up here for the ignition. And we got a three-stage retard box for our nitrous stuff. And then we got a fuel pump under here, which is now an oil pump. And this, we got this big oil pan under here. It's all open under there, and we suck the oil out of that with this pump because the stock pump doesn't have enough volume to keep up with everything. So there's almost nothing on the bike.
Oh, it's a man-made intake.
Yeah.
It's a man-made head.
We got a nice little small nitrous bottle, so 10-pounder.
Yeah.
Good for 2 runs before it runs out. Not that we use nitrous or anything, but.
So
And over on this side, we got more junk. In case we didn't have enough on that side. So this side here, here's the other side of the fuel pump. Then we got a big box here that puts 16 volts of ignition. It runs on total loss out the battery, which is 12 volt. And this will bump you up to, it's set at 15.5 volts, which runs the ignition on in the fuel pump. Which takes the fuel pump from 23 psi to 28 psi. So that's because this is only a 250 gallon per hour pump and it's not big enough. So that puts you probably about 300 gallons per hour. Still isn't big enough, but it runs out of fuel pressure on a dyno when you're on it. It drops down about 4 psi at full load. Now this carburetor here is a fuel carb, so it opens up this secondary valve right here, which opens up this hose, and this hose is at 5 psi. So this is a 3/8 hole that just opens up in the carburetor when you open this up. So you can actually control how far you open it. So at full throttle, I open up about 1/8 of an inch. And that will take that 1/2 inch 5/8 hose over there, I think it's 5/8 hose, it'll fill that thing 3/4 full of fuel going back to tank. So the carburetor is never out of fuel.
Right.
The needle seats on this one over here, it's on 5 pounds too. The secondary is what keeps it from running out totally. Then we got our oil lines, we got a filter up here, we got a fuel pump I think on it right now. Yeah, I used to have a zippers pump on it, but kept blowing them up, so we got a lot of fuel lines done. Everything dumps into our oil tank here. We got a big breather on it to let the air out of it when you got it going. Got a lot of junk. And this is our third stage of nitrous. I just flipped this one. I think I need a little extra. It's not really nitrous, it's just fuel. You just put more fuel in it. It puts fuel in the motor, and it takes ignition timing out of it. You flip that on and off as you're going down the track to try to keep the motor from melting a hole in the piston. I pretty much use it in I don't use it in low gear, but I'll use it in second a little bit, third definitely, and fourth. And you flip it on and off as you shift.
How much time are you dealing with? On
the other side, you got a 2-stage rocker switch over here. If you go back on the other side, you see it better. That's out of an F-14 fighter jet. That's
that red switch there?
Yeah, that's the firing mechanism. So this you got
tomahawks.
Yeah, you got first stage is going this way is first stage, and this one here is second stage when you go this way. And what happens is you got these two nozzles right here, one on each side. That's first stage, and these two that go direct in the manifold here, straight in. Those are second stage. Second stage has bigger jets than first stage, and first stage does not shut off when second stage comes on. So you over double the flow of nitrous when you hit the second stage. So it's a pretty big kick in the ass. And this here is at a third stage here, which is just fuel. Strictly just try to make the motor live because it goes into detonation. It's going to burn a hole in the piston. It's just a matter of when. Sometimes it goes pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And we got a big Super DS&S fuel carb on here. So it's almost as big as a cylinder, so it's about the right size. Anyway, just a little minor stuff. Alright, we got to do a little jet change because we're going to run alcohol in this thing and not nitro.
MF8.
Normally it's on 30% nitro, so we're going to drop back to just kind of alcohol stuff. So we're going to do a quick jet change out of this thing. So once you pause that for a minute, I get some tools.